Welcome to BookBuzz Reviews and Summaries. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt the tension in the air, without a single word spoken? Have you ever been brought to tears by a piece of music, a passing glance, or a sunset that seemed to speak directly to your soul? Have people told you, "You're too sensitive," as though it were a flaw, a weakness to overcome? If so, you're not alone, and you're not broken, in fact. You may possess one of the most powerful and misunderstood gifts a human being can have, the gift of being a highly sensitive person. In a world that applauds loud voices, fast decisions, and thick skin, the quiet strength of sensitivity is often overlooked. We are told to toughen up, to ignore our intuition, to move faster, speak louder, feel less. But what if your depth of feeling, your heightened awareness, your deep empathy, and your ability to see what others miss were not burdens, but signs of brilliance? What if your sensitivity is not something to be hidden or fixed, but something to be embraced, nurtured, and celebrated? The highly sensitive person is not just a book. It is a lifeline, a mirror, a manifesto for the sensitive soul. Dr. Elaine Aron, a pioneering psychologist and researcher, offers not only validation but a roadmap, a way to thrive, not despite your sensitivity, but because of it. This is a call to reclaim your sensitivity as a strength, to see yourself not as someone who feels too much, but as someone who feels deeply. And that depth is exactly what the world desperately needs. This book begins with a simple truth. You are not alone. Approximately 20% of the population shares this unique trait, but few are told how to navigate life in a world not built for them. Here, you'll learn the science behind your sensitivity, the strategies to protect your energy, and the tools to flourish in relationships, careers, and life itself, on your terms. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by bright lights, loud sounds, or harsh criticism, if you've ever longed for deeper meaning while others skim the surface, if you've ever tried to mold yourself into something you're not just to fit in, then stop right here, right now. This is where you begin to fit in with yourself. Welcome home, sensitive soul. Your journey to thriving starts here. Book, The Highly Sensitive Person: How to Thrive When the World Overwhelms You by Elaine Aron. Part 1. Understanding the Highly Sensitive Person, HSP. Chapter 1. The Discovery of a Hidden Trait. Imagine walking into a crowded room, loud music, bright lights, people everywhere, and feeling like every sound and flicker is amplified inside your body. It's not anxiety, it's not shyness, it's sensitivity, and according to Dr. Elaine Aron, you're not alone. In this opening chapter, Aron reveals that about 15 to 20% of the population, 1 in 5 people, are what she calls highly sensitive persons, HSPs. It's a trait, not a disorder. Through years of research and clinical experience, Aron uncovered this hidden but powerful characteristic shared by people who process sensory data more deeply than others, and this deep processing doesn't stop at physical sensations. HSPs notice subtleties others miss, reflect more before acting, and are more easily overwhelmed by too much input, whether emotional, social, or environmental. It's a different way of being in the world, one often misunderstood. Aron opens the door for readers and listeners to finally understand what they may have long sensed. They are not broken, they are wired differently, and that wiring can be a strength once understood. Chapter 2. The Science Behind Sensitivity. Diving deeper, Aron blends psychology and biology to validate the HSP experience. She explains that sensitivity is inborn and observable in animals as well as humans. In fact, studies on over 100 species, from fruit flies to fish to primates, show that a small percentage consistently exhibit more cautious, observant behavior. This survival strategy, being alert and attuned, can be advantageous in the right context. In HSPs, the nervous system is more finely tuned, meaning they absorb and process information with greater depth. That also means they tire more easily in stimulating environments and require more downtime to recover. Aron also distinguishes sensitivity from other traits. It's not shyness, which is a fear of social judgment, and it's not introversion, though most HSPs are introverts. Sensitivity is a unique temperament trait. And understanding this distinction is the first step to embracing it instead of trying to fix it. This chapter gives listeners a scientific foundation that challenges stigma and celebrates sensitivity as a legitimate, measurable trait, not a flaw. Chapter 3: The Childhood of a Sensitive Soul. Picture yourself as a child, overwhelmed by harsh lighting in a classroom, a loud argument between adults, or an unexpected change in routine. Many HSPs have memories of being told they were too sensitive, too dramatic, or too emotional. In this powerful chapter, Aron explores how childhood experiences shape the self-perception of HSPs. If sensitivity was misunderstood by caregivers or teachers, it likely led to feelings of shame, confusion, and isolation. On the other hand, a nurturing environment allowed the trait to blossom into deep empathy, creativity, and insight. She discusses four major outcomes of growing up sensitive. 1. HSPs with supportive environments tend to become strong, self-aware individuals. 2. Those with indifferent or hostile environments often internalize their sensitivity as weakness. 3. Some develop a false self, masking who they really are to avoid rejection. 4. Others become perfectionists, trying desperately to manage or control overstimulation. Listeners who are HSPs often find this chapter deeply validating, even emotional. It's a chance to revisit the past with new eyes and to begin the healing process by understanding that their childhood wounds came not from being wrong, but from being misunderstood. Chapter 4: The Hidden Strengths of Sensitivity. This is where the transformation begins. After exploring the science and struggles, Aron shines a light on the gifts of being highly sensitive. HSPs often possess exceptional empathy, creativity, intuitiveness, and conscientiousness. They are frequently the artists, healers, writers, therapists, and innovators of the world. People who think deeply, feel deeply, and contribute deeply. Sensitivity allows for profound connections to others, to nature, to ideas, and to the sacred. But to harness these gifts, HSPs must first learn to honor their needs. That means setting boundaries, designing quieter lifestyles, and resisting the cultural push to toughen up. In this chapter, Aron encourages HSPs to see themselves as gifted rather than defective. She shares real-life examples of clients and individuals who, once they embraced their sensitivity, found careers, relationships, and lifestyles that aligned with their unique design. It's not about changing who you are, it's about reclaiming your power, trusting your depth, and thriving in a world that can feel overwhelming, but doesn't have to be. Part 2: Thriving in a Loud World. Chapter 5: Surviving the Social Storm. Highly sensitive persons often walk into social settings feeling like they've just stepped into a sensory hurricane. The lights are bright, the noise is high, the conversation's rapid, and while others seem energized, HSPs may feel drained within minutes. In this chapter, Aron breaks down the social challenges HSPs face, not because they dislike people, but because they absorb everything, every facial expression, every tone of voice, every unspoken shift in group dynamics. It all registers and it all matters. This kind of heightened awareness can lead to social fatigue, performance anxiety, and the tendency to withdraw. Aron offers practical advice. Choose quality over quantity in friendships. Schedule recovery time after social events. Learn to gracefully say no to overstimulation. Practice self-talk to dismantle the inner critic that says you're bad at socializing. The goal isn't to become a social butterfly. It's to show up as your authentic self. Knowing your depth is a gift. In a world that overvalues charisma and extroversion, HSPs thrive by bringing presence and empathy instead of loudness. Chapter 6: Love and the Sensitive Heart. Love hits HSPs with the force of a tidal wave. When they fall in love, they fall hard, and that depth of feeling can be both beautiful and overwhelming. In relationships, they tend to be attuned to their partner's moods, responsive to unspoken needs, and easily affected by conflict or criticism. This chapter explores the unique emotional dynamics of HSPs in romantic relationships. HSPs often need more harmony and less chaos than their partners realize. Conflict can feel physically painful, making arguments deeply distressing. However, HSPs also bring deep loyalty, emotional intelligence, and thoughtful care to relationships. Aron gives guidance on how to balance emotional needs with a partner, especially when paired with a non-HSP. She emphasizes the importance of communicating openly about sensitivity, setting boundaries without guilt, avoiding the rescuer role that HSPs often fall into. She also offers comfort to single HSPs. You're not too much. You're wired for deep connection, and that kind of love may take longer to find, but it's worth the wait. Chapter 7. Work that works for you. In noisy offices, fast-paced environments, or rigid corporate cultures, HSPs often feel like they're in the wrong place. They crave meaning, purpose, and a workspace that doesn't push them into burnout. This chapter tackles one of the most pressing questions for HSPs. How can I work without feeling overwhelmed all the time? Aron identifies the types of work where HSPs thrive: helping professions, therapists, nurses, counselors, creative fields, writing, design, music, research, analysis, or solo work, where depth is valued over speed. The key: HSPs need autonomy, a manageable pace, and an environment that respects quality over quantity. Unfortunately, many are trapped in jobs that ignore these needs, leading to exhaustion, low self-esteem, and even illness. Aron shares strategies for making work more manageable. Take regular sensory breaks, limit multitasking, advocate for your needs with calm confidence. Learn when it's time to move on from toxic environments. This chapter empowers listeners to rethink not just what they do, but how they do it. Work isn't just about performance for HSPs, it's about meaning and sustainability. Chapter 8. The Art of Self-Care for Sensitive Souls. In a culture obsessed with hustle, rest is often seen as weakness, but for HSPs, rest is non-negotiable. It's fuel, restoration, and sanity. Aron dives into the heart of HSP survival: self-care, not as luxury but as lifeline. She redefines it as radical self-listening, urging HSPs to tune in to their own rhythms, needs, and limits. She offers a toolbox of practices that nourish the sensitive body and mind: solitude to recharge overstimulated nerves, gentle routines to avoid chaos, nature. Therapy, time in forests, gardens, or near water, creative outlets to express the rich inner life HSPs often hide, mindfulness and journaling to slow down the mental chatter. Most importantly, she encourages HSPs to release guilt around their needs. Sensitivity isn't an obstacle to overcome. It's a cue to care more deeply for yourself. You feel more, so you must rest more, protect more, and love yourself more. Part 3. Healing and Empowerment for the Sensitive Soul. Chapter 9. Rewriting the Inner Script. By midlife, or even earlier, many highly sensitive people walk around carrying an invisible script that says something like, "I'm too much, I'm too emotional, something is wrong with me." These beliefs are internalized early, often through well-meaning but misguided feedback like, "Don't be so sensitive," or "You need to toughen up." In this chapter, Aron invites HSPs to expose and challenge these limiting beliefs. The author emphasizes that being sensitive isn't a flaw, it's a temperament, biologically rooted in the nervous system. You were born to notice, to feel deeply, to pause and reflect, yet over time, this gift often gets twisted into a source of shame. Here's how to start rewriting the inner script. Name the inherited messages you've absorbed about sensitivity, practice cognitive reframing, turn too sensitive into thoughtfully responsive, affirm your worth daily. My sensitivity is a strength. I bring depth, care, and perception. Aron doesn't promise instant transformation, but she does promise this. Once you understand how deeply you've misunderstood yourself, you'll finally begin the process of healing and self-compassion. Chapter 10. Healing the Wounds of the Past. HSPs, due to their heightened sensitivity, may carry emotional scars from events others might brush off: a critical comment, a teacher's harsh tone, or being left out of a game in childhood. These events can linger, influencing adult self-esteem and relationships. This chapter explores how HSPs can heal emotional wounds without reopening old traumas or becoming stuck in them. Key insights. HSPs are more deeply affected by negative experiences, but they are also more receptive to positive. Therapeutic interventions, therapy, journaling, inner child work, or simply speaking your truth aloud to a trusted friend can unlock deep healing. Feeling deeply isn't weakness, it's your superpower for growth. Aron suggests identifying sore spots from childhood and asking, "What did I need then that I didn't get?" The answer becomes the roadmap for reparenting yourself with love, patience, and protection. This chapter is tender and vulnerable, a moment of reckoning that whispers, "You deserved better, and now you can give it to yourself." Chapter 11. Emotional Boundaries. Protection, not walls. Many HSPs struggle with emotional boundaries. They take on others' pain as their own, struggle to say no, and feel guilt over putting their own needs first. As a result, they end up overwhelmed, not just by stimuli, but by other people's emotions. In this essential chapter, Aron teaches that boundaries are not selfish, they're sacred. They are the key to staying compassionate without becoming consumed. Practical tools for boundary building include emotional filtering. Ask, "Is this mine too?" Carry, creating pauses before reacting to someone else's mood or request, practicing phrases like, "I care deeply, and I need some time to process this." Physical space as an energetic boundary. Retreat, rest, renew. Aron also addresses guilt. HSPs often equate kindness with sacrifice, but healthy boundaries mean you can give from overflow, not depletion. Your energy is precious. Protecting it doesn't make you less loving, it makes you sustainably loving. Chapter 12. Resilience from the inside out. Here, Aron reveals a surprising truth. HSPs are not fragile. In fact, when they are understood, supported, and equipped with the right tools, they demonstrate a profound kind of resilience, one that is thoughtful, grounded, and adaptable. She introduces the concept of differential susceptibility. Research shows that sensitive people are more impacted by negative environments, but also benefit more from supportive, nurturing conditions. In other words, with the right mindset and habits, HSPs can thrive far beyond average. To cultivate resilience, strengthen your self-knowledge, know your triggers and strengths, use grounding techniques, breath work, body scans, creative expression, practice positive visualization and self-talk. That fuels courage. Keep a resilience journal. Record moments you overcame challenge with grace. Aron closes this chapter with an empowering truth. HSPs don't need to change their nature to be strong. Instead, they must build an environment and a belief system that supports who they already are. Part 4. Living fully as a highly sensitive person. Chapter 13. Embracing your sensitive identity. After a lifetime of being misunderstood or misjudged, highly sensitive people may still find it hard to say, "This is who I am." That's why this chapter is all about acceptance and integration. Aron doesn't just want you to cope with your sensitivity. She wants you to own it. Owning your sensitivity means saying yes to your need for quiet, rest, and reflection without guilt, saying no to environments, people, and expectations that demand overstimulation, honoring your deep perception, and emotional awareness as gifts, not liabilities. Aron encourages readers to find pride in being an HSP. Sensitive people are not broken, they're finely tuned instruments in a world that too often rewards noise over nuance. She urges you to see your sensitivity as your superpower. The reason you're so empathetic, insightful, creative, and conscientious. The chapter ends with a profound reminder. Your sensitivity isn't something to fix, it's something to understand, nurture, and live through with strength and grace. Chapter 14. Finding your tribe. Loneliness is a common experience among HSPs, not because they don't care about people, but because many relationships lack depth or safety for the sensitive soul. In this chapter, Aron explores how HSPs can build meaningful connections with others who appreciate their depth and integrity. It's not about having more friends, it's about having the right ones. Tips for building a nourishing social life. Seek out kindred spirits who value depth and honesty. Look for HSP support groups or communities, online and in person. Don't be afraid to talk about your sensitivity. Authenticity attracts authenticity. Release the pressure to fit in where you don't belong. She also warns of common traps: the temptation to isolate, or the tendency to people please to avoid conflict. Instead, Aron challenges HSPs to belong to themselves first and let relationships grow from that place of clarity and inner peace. Chapter 15: Designing a Life That Works for You. Now that you understand your needs, strengths, and boundaries, it's time to rebuild your life around them. This chapter invites HSPs to reimagine their lifestyles, not around what the world demands, but around what their sensitive nature thrives on. Aron encourages listeners to create daily rhythms that balance stimulation with recovery, choose environments, homes, workspaces, social settings that feel safe and soothing. Practice intentional living, saying yes to things that align with your energy and values. She shares examples of real HSPs who adjusted their careers, restructured their schedules, or changed their living situations to honor their needs. The result: greater peace, purpose, and productivity. The message here is loud and clear. You don't need to fit a high-stimulation world. You can build a quieter, deeper, more meaningful one on your terms. Chapter 16: The HSP Advantage. The final chapter is a celebration, a victory lap for the journey you've just taken. Here, Aron brings together everything we've learned and reveals the true advantage of being an HSP. While the world spins fast, HSPs notice what others miss: the quiet suffering behind a smile, the beauty in a sunset or a moment of silence, the importance of kindness in a hurried interaction, the need for wisdom in a world driven by speed. Aron ends with this message: the world needs HSPs, now more than ever. Your sensitivity brings compassion into leadership, creativity into industry, and wisdom into conversation. When you embrace your design, you not only change your own life, you begin to heal the world around you. Final reflections: the journey of the sensitive soul. The highly sensitive person is not just a book, it's a mirror, a guide, and a lifeline for those who have always felt too much. Elaine Aron doesn't ask HSPs to toughen up or shrink down. She asks them to rise fully into their sensitivity, not as a burden, but as a calling. If you're a highly sensitive person, your job is not to conform to the noise. It's to bring back the music, to listen, love, create, and lead with the quiet power that only someone like you possesses. Read the book to learn more. Thanks for listening to BookBuzz Reviews and Summaries.